Welcome to Daily News Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy Civil Media team. Today's date is 28th August 2024 and I am Bharati Longovan to carry out today's discussion. I have an important announcement to make today. Shankar IAS Academy is going to start a prelims test series known as the pre-storming. The first batch is going to start on the 6th September 2024. This test series consists of almost 48 tests. You can enroll for this test by clicking in the link given below in the description. We are also starting a All India UPSC Mains Open Mock Test series. You can use this to boost your preparation in the mains as well. Here is a list of news articles that we are going to discuss today. We have taken 3 different news articles from newspapers such as The Hindu, The Indian Express and the LiveMint. At the end of today's discussion, we are going to have a prelims practice question. So without further delay, let's get into today's discussion. So this is the first news article that we're going to discuss today. It says that the CDSCO grants approval for making the RT-PCR testing kits to detect the Mpox in India. So first, let's try to understand why it is in the news first. So this CDSCO has granted approval to a medtech company called as the Siemens Healthy Linear. So for the manufacturing of the RT-PCR kits. So if you recall, these RT-PCR kits known as the real-time polymerase chain reaction kits were used to detect the COVID-19 during the pandemic period. So these kits can be used to detect the Mpox which is existing right now in various parts of the world. It is also said that this technique is having a 100% sensitivity as well as efficiency in detecting the Mpox according to the ICMR, which is the Indian Council of Medical Research. So on this backdrop, let's try to understand what are the responsibility of this CDSCO in detailed way from the prelims perspective. First, CDSCO. It is abbreviated as the Central Drug Standard Control Organization. So, it is a national regulatory authority for the pharmaceuticals and medical devices in India. The headquarters of the CDSCO is at Delhi, capital of the India. It works under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. In India, we have an act called as the Drugs and Cosmetic Act. So this act is implemented by this CDSCO. Now we will see what are the responsibilities of this CDSCO one by one. First is they will approval of new drugs and clinical trials. Suppose a new drug is produced in India, they will grant the approval for this new drugs. Also, they will monitor the clinical trials to meet the safety standards that is set up in the India. This is the first responsibility of this CDSCO. Next is they will licensing of the pharmaceuticals. So this CDSCO will grant licenses to the pharmaceuticals products such as drugs and the medical devices. So this licensing is given to the manufacturing, import as well as the sale of these drugs as well as medical devices in India. The third responsibility of the CDSCO is the monitoring of drug standards. They will set few standards that has to be met by the drugs produced in the India. So they ensure the quality of these drugs by conducting time to time inspection, testing, also by conducting the enforcement action. The fourth main function of the CDSCO is the pharmacovigilance. They will study what are the effect of these drugs and they will ensure that the public safety standards are met during this pharmacovigilance step. We have already seen they will grant license for the import, manufacturing for and sale of the drugs and medical devices in India. So they will regulate the import of these drugs so that they will meet some national standards which are set by the CDSCO. They will also work in conjunction with the state drug control authorities to implement as well as enforce the drug laws in the India. These are some main responsibilities which are followed by the CDSCO. Now we will see what is the organizational structure and composition of this CDSCO. The head of this body is the Drug Control General of India. He is the important decision-making person with this regard. This body is also very important in the regulation as well as implementation of the responsibilities that we were discussing in the last slide. This CDSCO also has many zonal offices spread across the India and laboratories to ensure the safety standards. Now we will see a prelims practice question with this topic. The question is, consider the following statement regarding the Mpox. Mpox, previously known as the monkeypox, is a viral illness caused by the monkeypox virus. It is a species of a genus orthopox virus. Mpox can be transmitted from human to human and animal to human. The Mpox infection during the pregnancy can lead to stillbirth and loss of fetus. Which of the above statement are correct? The correct answer is all the three statements given in this question are correct. It is affected. This infection is caused by a virus called as the monkeypox virus. It can be transmitted from human to human as well as from animal to human, and of course, yes, it causes stillbirth and loss of fetus if the infection is during the time of pregnancy. With this, we'll conclude the discussion on this article, and now let's move on to the next one. This is the next article that we're going to discuss today. This news article is given in the newspaper Indian Express. Let's understand why it is in the news first. Our Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has said that a GST Council meeting will be conducted on the September 9th to discuss about the rate rationalization, which is nothing but to simplify the structure of the GST tax rates in India. She also said subsequent meeting will be held in the upcoming date to change the tax rate in the India. On this backdrop, let's understand about the GST Council detailedly from a prelims perspective. Firstly, this GST Council is formed under the amendment of 101st Amendment Act of 2016. So this GST Council is formed under the article of 279A of the Indian Constitution. The main function of this council is to regulate the implementation and the regulation of the GST in India. So, talking about the composition, the Union Finance Minister is the ex officio chairperson of the GST Council in India. So, the composition consists of state government members as well as the central government members. The Union Minister of State for Revenue or Finance will be the member of the GST Council. We also have the Finance Minister of State as well as the UT who will be the members of the GST Council. So, you can see that there are members from state government as well as central government in the GST Council. Talking about the voting rights, the central government members have 1/3 of the voting rights, while the state government members have 2/3 of the voting rights. For any decision to be approved, 3/4 of the majority is required to make the decision. The minimum members required to conduct the meeting is called as the quorum. At least 50% of the members of the GST Council are required to conduct the meeting. So this GST Council is a symbol of cooperative federalism. Cooperative federalism is nothing but the central government as well as the state government will work collaboratively to bring about a change. Now we will see what are the functions of this GST Council one by one. First, they will decide what products are to be taxed and what products will be exempted from the GST tax. They also decide what is the tax rate of all these products which has to be taxed. So, they play an important role in the tax determination as well as the formulation of the tax structure. Next, they will set the threshold for the GST registration. They are also responsible for the formulation of GST laws. They will also play an important role in formulating the principles of exemption, levying the taxes, also the procedures for the GST. They also have an important role in framing the special provision. They formulate special provision for certain states which have socio-economic consideration as well as geographical considerations. Let's say if there is a problem in the implementation of the GST between central government and the state government as well as between the states, they will solve the disputes in this regard. They also play an important role in the appropriation of revenue collected from the GST. They will allocate the share of revenue for the state governments as well as between the central and the state. These are the functions of the GST Council. I have already said GST Council is a symbol of cooperative federalism. We will also see what are the other symbols or structures which will facilitate the cooperative federalism in India. Cooperative federalism is nothing but the state government as well as the central government will work together to achieve a common goal. First, we will talk about the Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog was formulated in the year 2015. Until then, there was a planning commission to formulate the plans in India. But this Niti Aayog replaced the planning commission, which was formulating the 5-year plans earlier. So this Niti Aayog consists of members from the state. That is, they have the chief minister of all the states in their governing council. Next is the interstate council. This interstate council was dormant for a long period. Now it is revived again to facilitate the dialogue as well as the coordination between the center and the states. We know there are various schemes and initiatives that are taken to conduct development in these states. One such initiative is the special assistance to these states. Under this scheme, special assistance is given to the state. It is given to address the state-specific needs and promote the regional development in certain areas which require high priority. Next is the one which we already discussed, which is the GST Council. They work in a consensus-based approach. They coordinate and collaborate with the state as well as central government in the implementation of the GST laws. We will also see another example of the cooperative federalism, which is the Zonal Council. We know there is an act in India called as the State Reorganization Act, which led to the formation of almost 14 states and 6 union territories in the year 1956. Under this same act, the Zonal Council was also established. They help in the regional integration. They will address the common concern of all the state in the Zonal Council and bring a solution. These are some examples which ensures cooperative federalism in India. We discussed about the GST Council, Zonal Council, Interstate Council and Special Assistant to States. With the understanding of this explanation, let's try to answer a prelims question. The question is, which of the following statements are correct regarding the Niti Aayog? Niti Aayog was established to replace the Planning Commission of India. The Prime Minister is the ex officio chairperson of Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog includes only central government representative in its composition. Fourth, the Niti Aayog is responsible for drafting the national 5-year plans. This first statement is correct, as we already saw. The second statement is also correct. The Prime Minister is the ex officio chairperson of the Niti Aayog. So who is the ex officio chairperson of GST Council that we saw in the article? It is the Union Finance Minister who is the ex officio chairperson of the GST Council. So now coming to the third statement, Niti Aayog includes only central government representative. The statement is incorrect because we have already saw it is an example of cooperative federalism, so it includes both members from the state government as well as the central government. We have the chief minister of state in this governing council, so option 3 is incorrect. Option 4 is also incorrect because the one responsible for formation of the 5-year plans is the Planning Commission and not the Niti Aayog, which replaced the Planning Commission. So the correct answer is A, 1 and 2 only. This is the next news article that we're going to discuss today. The FSSAI says committee should look into the use of pesticides. So let's understand why it is in the news first. The Food Safety and Standard Authority of India has proposed to form an inter-ministerial committee. So this committee will overview the usage of pesticides in India. The main aim of this committee is to reduce the usage of pesticides in India. They are also looking for an alternate procedure to reduce the use of pesticide and promote the sustainable agriculture practices. In addition, they also wanted to regulate the usage of fertilizer by the farmers also. So why there is a urgency in the formation of this committee? There is a rising concern over the food safety in India. Along with it, the European Union also rising demand to reduce the pesticide residue in the agriculture product. You know that we are exporting the agriculture product to the European countries. These European countries wanted less pesticide residue in the agriculture products that we are exporting to the countries. So on this context, let's see what are pesticides, how they are different from the fertilizer, what are the types of pesticides. We will also see what are some regulating authorities of the usage of pesticides in India. And at last, we will see what are the threats we are facing with the usage of the pesticides in India. First, let me explain what are pesticides. Pesticides are nothing but chemicals. These chemicals are used to control, repel and even eliminate the pest. So what are these pests? Pests are nothing but fungus, rodents, insects and even unwanted vegetation which will inhibit the growth of plants in the field. So how these pesticides are different from the fertilizer? So fertilizers are nothing but nutrient substances which will enhance the growth of plants and they will also increase the crop yield. For example, fertilizers such as NPK are used. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium are used to enhance the growth of crop in the field. If you know any scheme related to the usage of fertilizer in India, you can drop it in the comment section given below. Next, we will see what are the types of pesticides and we will classify it based on the chemicals used. First is the organic pesticides. These organic pesticides are derived from natural resources, so they contain carbon in their content. For example, pyrethrum, rotenone and rhinea are the example. The next type of pesticides is the inorganic pesticides. So these are derived from the mineral resources and they do not contain carbon in their content. Example are copper sulfate, ferrous sulfate and lime and sulfur. We can also classify pesticides based on the target. First is the insecticide. If they target the insect and kill them, the pesticides are called as the insecticide. In the same way, if they target the fungus, they are called as the fungicide, and if they target the rodents, they are called as the rodicide. Some pesticides also target some unwanted vegetation and eliminate the growth of them. They are called as herbicides. Now we will see some regulation of pesticide, that is regulating authority of pesticide usage in India. First is the Central Insecticide Board and Registration Committee. This committee is working under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. They are responsible for the regulation, registration and approval of usage of pesticides in India. They will ensure the safety of the consumers. Note that they ensure the public safety before the usage. So next is the DPPQS, which is the Directorate of Plant Protection, Quarantine and Storage. This also works under the Ministry of Animal Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. So they are responsible for the monitoring the usage of pesticides in India. Next is the one mentioned in the news today, the FSSAI, the Food Safety and Standard Authority of India. They are responsible for ensuring permissible limit of pesticide residue in the agricultural product. The next regulation authority is the State Agricultural Department. They are responsible for the implementation and pesticide regulation in the state level. So these are the 4 monitoring authorities which are important regarding the use of pesticides in India. Now we will see some important status or data relating to the pesticide usage in India. First is regarding the production. India is the 4th largest global producer of pesticide in the world. The market size is about rupees 245.2 billion rupees and it is expected to reach 421.7 billion rupees in the year 2032. We are also the 2nd largest producer of agrochemicals globally. The export has reached almost $4.5 billion in the year 2022 to 23. The major importers of the pesticides in India are US, Brazil and Japan. Talking about the usage, almost 61,000 tons of pesticides was used in the year 2020. The top consumers of pesticides in India lies in Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab and Haryana. You can see the pie chart in the next slide. For example, you can see Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab. They are the major consumers of the pesticides. You know, Green Revolution was introduced in the year 1960s. So they introduced the production, they introduced the usage of HIV seeds, fertilizers and pesticides. Now we will see what are the challenges of usage of pesticides in India. First is the health risk. We are exposed to pesticides through skin contact, through ingestion, also through inhalation. This can cause irritation to the skin, digestive system and as well as the respiratory system. You can also see there is an increase in concentration of pesticides in the food chain. This is very lethal in nature. Next is the environmental impact. High usage of pesticide can degrade the soil, thereby reducing the nutritional quality, which can impact the productivity of the soil. Next is the pesticide runoff. If high amount of pesticide is used in the field and there is a heavy rain, these can run off to the nearby water bodies, which can affect the non-target organism as well as the aquatic life residing in that aquatic body. So in this way, the pesticide is attacking the non-target species, which can affect the food chain and the food web. We have seen there is a centralized regulation and there is no state level and lower level implementation effectively. This can be challenging at times. There is also a inconsistent enforcement in the rules and regulation relating to the pesticide, which is concerning. The international competition with respect to the pesticide can cause price dumping, which can affect the price of the pesticides which is produced in the India. With the use of pesticide, they can reduce the soil fertility, thereby affecting the quality of the soil and the productivity. Increased and heavy usage of the pesticide can lead to the development of pests which are resistant to the pesticide itself. This is highly dangerous. That's all with respect to the discussion on this article. In this article, we saw what is pesticide, how they are different from the fertilizer. We also saw some important regulating authorities with respect to the pesticides in India. We also saw what are the threats because of the usage of pesticides, and we also saw some important data relating to the production and the import of the pesticides. With this, let's move on to the Prelims Practice Question. The question is, which of the following statement regarding the pesticide is incorrect? Pesticides are substances used to prevent, control, or eliminate the pests that damage the crops, animals, or property. The usage of pesticides is regulated by the Ministry of Environment, Forest, and Climate Change. Organic pesticides are derived from natural resources and are often considered to be more environment friendly than the synthetic pesticides. Option D is integrated pest management is a strategy that combines the use of biological, physical, chemical methods to manage the pests in an environmentally and economically stable, sustainable manner. In this question, option A, B, C, and D are correct. But option B is incorrect because we have seen the use of pesticide is regulated by the Ministry of Agriculture and Forest, Farmers Welfare, and not the Environment, Forest, and Climate Change. So the correct answer for this question is option B. With this, we'll conclude the discussion on this article. We have reached the end of today's video. If you found the video informative, do hit like, give your feedbacks as comment, and don't forget to share. Thank you. Have a nice day.